Hey everybody, Walter Crosby with Helix Sales Development, your host of Sales and Cigars. Today I am your host, I am the guest, I am all you got. Um, so the reason I'm doing this, I'm sort of like pulling me in um, and kind of pausing other guests because of something that I read this week, and then a couple of things that happened this past week that I think are important. I think matter to entrepreneurs. I think matter to salespeople and sales managers. This has an effect on everybody. Um, so the idea here is whose responsibility is it for your development as a sales professional, your personal development? Who's responsible? And that's what I want to discuss today. So I catch a lot of grief from comments and stuff that I don't talk about what I'm smoking or what I'm drinking for that matter. If I'm recording a session that's like early afternoon or something early in the morning, I'm staying away from the brown liquor. I might throw a little Bailey's in my coffee, but I'm staying away from the brown liquor. So today I'm smoking a Padron 4000. If I could only have one cigar for the rest of my life, it would be a Padron 4000 or any of the Padrones. I mean, I can't ever remember having a bad Padron. They burn well. There's never any canoeing. They always are consistent with their taste. The three turns are there. They're just like the little blankie that you had when you were a kid as it relates to cigars. They're always there and they're always good and they give you that sense of security. So it's a little commercial. I don't get paid by Padron, um, but they're awesome and I highly recommend them. What I'm drinking is my last Lynchburg lemonade of the season. Lynchburg lemonade is a little Jack Daniels, a little lemonade, a little splash of something like Sprite or Seven Up. It's a great summertime drink. I happen to have a little bit of that mixed up. That was the last bit of it from the summer. So Lynchburg lemonade and a Padron. Nice little way to end the summer. So let's go back to personal development is your responsibility as an individual. My buddy Brent Long did a LinkedIn post about this recently. Got me thinking about it. I was going to write a little piece in my sales velocity email. I think that's something that I probably will do down the road. Um, but what was interesting is I read Brent's piece, and then I had a client meeting, and I was I was explaining to the VP that the sales team across the board, with one exception, um, that they're just not responding to the coaching. They're not showing up. He was incredibly frustrated, and it turns out that this has been going on for a little while before I got involved. Um, the expectations were there; they were made clear. So it was a combination of things with my client, but they're connected as an individual producer, as a salesperson, it is not the company's responsibility to provide you with extra coaching and training to elevate your career. It's your responsibility. It's your career. It's your revenue. It's your income, right? At the end of the day, it's not anybody's responsibility but your own. I don't care if you're an individual salesperson. I don't care if you're a sales manager, a VP of sales. You should be doing things to help improve yourself, improve your ability to be effective and be a producer, increase your performance. And it got me riled up. That's why I wanted to do this episode where we're just talking about personal responsibility when it comes to our own career. Um, when a company does provide you coaching and provide you sales training, you have to show up, engage. You have to adopt some of these things. If you need to challenge yourself to get better. So I think it's important. Now, just I'm going to speak to the entrepreneurs and the business owners in the VPs of sales. We should be providing training. We should be providing coaching. Your sales managers, you should be coaching. 50% of your time should be spent coaching. And if you don't know how to do it, figure it out. There's some books out there that you can read. I mean, go read Jason Jordan's books. Go read anything by Keith Rosen, right? There's tons of opportunities, tons of things that you can go read. I think there's probably on my shelves, there's probably 12 to 15 books about coaching, and I should review those more frequently. But I have a process that I use to coach. I have tools that I use to coach the gaps in somebody's individual needs, right? Whether they be mindset or whether they be tactical skills. It I have a process to go through there. There's so many things that you can do. YouTube channels, podcasts, um, books, newsletters, conferences. There's plenty of stuff out there that is going to add value. It's going to make you think. It's going to make you do some things differently. And if you don't care about it, that's fine. But you don't get to bitch about it, right? And this is what really pushed me the other day, where I was talking to a candidate for a client. They were looking to hire some salespeople, and this individual had a decent looking resume. He'd been around for about 12 years. He had two jobs over the 12 years. They were specific enough for this particular role that he was a good fit. He had taken our assessment and he was recommended for the role. And we have an interview style that there a process that I go through, and we do a short phone screen where I'm asking very specific questions, and I'm trying to just see if they're articulate, if they're professional. But when we get into the first interview, I break it into three pieces, right? So, and I talk about sales hiring in blog posts and in my Velocity emails, but the first interview is broken into three pieces: questions and concerns around a resume, questions and concerns around the assessment and the findings that we got, and then I want to share with them the company culture. I want to share with them the expectations of the role. I want to share what's difficult about the role. I want them to understand what they're likely to get into, to make sure there's no misconceptions. And we're talking at high levels, but in terms of expectations, I'm sharing with them, that we want them to hunt in a particular business development role, and we want them to hunt consistently. And this gentleman had a challenge in the hunting part of his role. He wasn't awful at it, but he just didn't do it consistently enough. And the assessment showed that. Some of the questions I had around his resume showed that. So I asked him a question that is a fairly standard question. It's nothing mystifying, but it's like, so, in the last year, what have you done where you've invested your own time and money to improve your ability as a salesperson? And I just ask the question like I do with any question, and I sit back and ask, wait. And I was I don't know, blown away by his response. I was annoyed. I was frankly pissed off enough to to talk about this because I think it's important. And if you're dumb enough to bring it up in an interview where you're supposed to be putting your best foot forward, I mean, I would rather somebody try to make a big deal about reading a book 11 months ago and not applying anything in it than to tell me what this guy said. And what he said was that's not my responsibility. And you know my eyes got a little big, I suppose, um, and I'm confused. Whose responsibility is it to make sure you're a better salesperson? He says, "Well, it's the company," and he truly believed we. I spent a little time in this area asking questions. He fully believed that he shouldn't have to do anything outside of business hours to help himself become a better professional. That it all should be done during time that he's paid. It should all be happening during business hours, and it's the responsibility of the company to bring those opportunities to him. And dug in a little bit to really make sure he was serious, and he was 100% serious. He took no responsibility for his own development. And I don't think he's alone in that situation, but I I think we need to rethink how we. I mean, I told him that I thought that was a mistake. I explained to him that it's his career and it's his responsibility. I did. I didn't really do coaching because I was sharing my perspective without asking him a lot of questions to help him realize this for himself. But we were in an interview, we weren't in a coaching session. Um, and I wasn't interested in changing his mind per se. I was really trying to, see if there was some perspective that I was missing. And I wasn't. He really thought that the company's job is to provide him that training. And we're not talking about product training. We're talking about his ability to be better at consultative selling. It was his ability to differentiate himself and sell value, and he took no responsibility for that. So I mean, it just really annoyed me because it's what gives us a bad name as salespeople. I think sales is the greatest job on the planet. I mean, we're not saving lives like a doctor might, but what we are able to do is when we sell something to somebody that solves a big problem, we're providing value to that company, to that individual, to that community. And when we sell and things prosper, right, we're helping an entire community for of that company's community, their customers, their vendors, the dry cleaner in that area, the restaurants in that area. All of those people have the ability to go out and prosper from a company's success. Nothing happens unless somebody is persuaded, and so unless somebody realizes that there's a solution here that's going to provide them value to make a change. That's our job as salespeople, and I think that's amazing if we're able to do that consistently and successfully, and and make sure that we're clear about this. I don't think we should be just out there selling something to somebody when it doesn't fit, right? We should be helping people. That's the essence of sales. um, and if we're helping them solve a problem that they haven't been able to solve, or worse, they didn't know they had the problem, they didn't realize there was a solution to it, I mean, we're really doing something there. So I know that's a little bit of a stretch from actually, taking somebody's kidney out that has cancer, and they're saving their lives. But it is a significant profession, We just have so many people that don't act like it's a profession that gives the rest of us a bad name. Um, so, and you know, your responsibility as a salesperson. Now, all that being said, and it irritates me when somebody doesn't want to take that responsibility. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a CEO, as a VP of sales, it's your job to provide them an environment where you're encouraging them to get better as a professional, that you provide them those tools and that training, right? Again, sales manager, 50% of your time, coaching, right? Learn how to coach. That's your responsibility. And we have so many sales managers that don't have a good example of what good sales management looks like and feels like, right? So that's a problem in and of itself. But when I was promoted to the sales manager the first time, I was totally excited. Happened at a holiday party. I mean, it was the end of the year. I had a good year. The owners of the company said, "Hey, come to the bar. We want to buy you a drink." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this could be bad, but let's go have a drink." And they offered me this international sales director role, and I was excited. And it was, a promotion and all of those things that go into that. Um, in another sense, it's probably uh, not always a promotion in the sense that we're going to make more money, but it's an evolution of our career. So we get in the car. I'm driving home and tell my wife about this, and she's excited because I'm excited. And then she asked me the question, and I've told this story before. Have you ever managed anybody before? Because you can barely manage yourself. And she was not wrong. Um, and I realized at that moment, like, boom, the little balloon popped. Like, I have no idea how to manage a sales team. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So that happened right before the holidays, right before Christmas time. So I went and bought a couple of books um, to try to figure out what is it I need to know how to do to get better at that. And then I went to lunch with one of the owners, and I'm like, you promoted me. Thank you. I appreciate the confidence, but I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, you have a better idea of what they're supposed to be doing than we do, right? It was a really great conversation. It was real candid. So I told him what I was planning on doing. And he was willing to provide me support and guidance to the level that he could, and it worked out. I got better at it, but it was my responsibility, not his. He had some skin in the game. He wanted me to be successful, and he wanted to support it. But if I didn't go do the thing that I needed to do, it wasn't going to work. So it was ultimately my responsibility if I wanted to swim. Otherwise, I was going to sink. So I think that's something that we when you go to promote a salesperson as a business owner and you promote them to that role, you really should be thinking about what does that mean, because it often is a mistake, and you lose that salesperson's revenue even when you tell them you still want them to be a producer. They don't produce as much. They're trying to figure out how to manage these people. So they're upsetting themselves because they're not being successful. They're upsetting you as a business owner because you're not delivering on what you thought they were going to deliver. They're pissing off the salespeople because they don't know what they're doing. They're not really providing great value, and they're spinning around, and the sales meetings aren't productive, and there's a lot of back and forth with no real objectives. So what ultimately happens is that salesperson who was a producer for you goes to your competitors, and they get your revenue, and then you got to start all over again. So really be careful when you go to promote somebody from a producer role to a management role, that if you're not ready to help them be successful, they will probably fail. And it's more likely than it's not. And I would say it happens 80% of the time, because only 20% of the people take some personal responsibility. So this all ties together, folks. Business owners, CEOs, VPs of sales, right? You're responsible, and you should be doing certain things, and you should be taking care of your employees, right? Because if you do that well and you give them the right tools, then they'll be able to take care of your customers. And if you have your employees give a shit about your customers, and they act like they care, and they they do the things that you want them to do and they live out your vision, you're going to retain your customers and revenue will grow, right? So you need to be careful of how you promote and who you promote and how you support them. And as individuals, folks, you have the ultimate responsibility to learn what you need to learn. And it doesn't necessarily involve getting into a sales training program. Those are great, right? As long as somebody's going to help you, coach you along the way. The training that I got 25 years ago was out of my pocket, right? I did it because I wanted to be better. I wanted to make more money. And the ROI is spectacular when you're committed. So this is a two-way street. As my friend Jimmy used to say, it's Park Avenue. We have to take responsibility as an individual, and we need to take responsibility as a business owners not to put people in positions where they're going to fail. And we have to set the right tone. We have to set the right expectations, and we got to help them along the way. We just don't throw our children out into the wilderness and hope they figure it out, right? We're providing them guidance, and sometimes we don't realize we're providing them guidance. Sometimes we're saying things that we didn't really think that they were listening to, but they were. So personal responsibility. It's personal. Personal responsibility to your professional growth is the individual's primary responsibility. You need to work on what you need to do to get better. And sometimes you need help. And the company should help you. But at the end of the day, it's your job. It's your profession. It's your income. So this is a bit of a rant. I've spent 20 some minutes here talking about this, but it's really, really, really important. So doesn't matter, CEOs, salespeople. If you want help in this area, I'm happy to help. There's plenty of resources. Ping me and I'll give you 3 books that you should go read. But don't ping me and ask for help because I'm going to say, here's a book and I want you to come back to me and tell me what you got out of it. Right? I want to talk about what you learned. And I'm happy to help you without any fee structure involved if you're really willing to do the work. So go sell some shit. Go be successful. Go figure out what it is that you don't know and find a person to help you along the way. There's plenty of people who have made it that are like me that want to provide some help to people that really, really have desire, that have the commitment to do it. They may not have the resources, but they have the desire and we can tell. So if you need help, ask. Thanks. I appreciate your attention. The next couple of weeks, we're going to have some interesting guests on this. Go sign up for my sales velocity emails. You can ping me on LinkedIn. I'll get you on the list. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about this sales integrator brand that I'm rolling out to specifically help EOS companies that are deep into EOS and they've built their VTO. They know their 3 uniques. They have their vision. They are working on getting the right people in the right seats, and they're using GWC to get the people figured out. They have a process, but here's the thing, folks. There's sort of a false promise with EOS, in that, and this is probably the reason most companies that are running EOS struggle a little bit with their sales team, and that everything that EOS does, and it's great at this, is inward focused. It's your internal processes, it's your uniques, it's your vision, it's your ability to what you envision you want to do in the next 3 to 10 years. It's all great stuff, but your sales team is outward focused, and they need to understand your vision in the context of your customers. We need to help them understand what they need to be saying so your customer realizes your vision is going to help them, not just you. We need to have a process that's buyers first focused. And I can also help with the people part of this, right? GWC, get it, want it, and have capacity for it. I can help you see where the gaps are in the capacity. I can help you really understand if they have the desire and commitment to want it. And do they get it? I mean, was their mindset there? Do they really get what it is you're trying to do? We can help you with that with real data. So you're not flying by the seat of your pants. So sales integrator, by the time you hear this, it will be out there. We'll have some more additional data. I've spoken to several CEOs and visionaries and integrators at EOS companies, and they're starting to see that this false promise is real, and that there does need to be a solution, and the sales integrator is it. So sorry for the little commercial, but it's really about helping people. And if any of those things resonate, ping me as well. Great. Have a great week. Thanks.